We're down here in the studio today. Well, if you can even call it a studio, really, because we're just using some white foam boards propped up on top of my washing machine, using some wooden blocks to keep it held in place. We, we really are professional here at this YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about something interesting I'd found. See, in a live stream at the beginning of March or at the end of February, I want to say, I don't know exactly when, but I brought up to my chat that you could buy everything you needed to build a nice, simple model railroad that wasn't that hard to build for $60. And it would be pretty small and fit in any space. So, like the three things that keep people from joining this hobby or jumping into it is price, size, and effort. And this model railroad, for just $60, would somehow address all of that. And so I thought, it'd be kind of funny if I had a Ko-Fi donation goal where if we actually hit $60 of donations for the channel, I would buy the layout and I would review it on the channel. And I'm sorry to say today, we got the wrong train set. This isn't the $60 version. It's the $90 version. In fact, I can prove that with a little price sticker right here. I got it from a brick and mortar store here in Portland, Oregon. The Hobby Smith. They usually have N gauge and Z gauge equipment on hand. Sometimes the unusual stuff that you wouldn't find in most stores, like this stuff. Now, this set really doesn't boast much. I mean, just look at the size of your train right here. It's a single rail car, and that's realistic, for the Japanese market, but it's not very exciting. And all you get is a simple little loop of track when it comes down to what your train can actually run on. And the scenery options, while you can get yourself an extra little set for around the same price as the base set is, the scenery options here don't really look too exciting on the base set, and that's in part because they're Papercraft. And, this isn't actually the Papercraft, it's actually in the box itself. But, I mean, what do you expect? After all, you're spending $90 on a train set. You're not going to get top of the line, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. But you are going to get a fully functional train layout. A nice little novelty. And so, why don't we see what's inside the box? I haven't actually opened this yet. There are some scratches on here, like this one right here. Don't know where that came from, but let's get straight to it, I guess. Oh, there's something else in the box here. Oh, it's the tunnel piece. Is there anything else? No. So let's go ahead and set aside the empty box and get into this. You can already see the baseboard. Oh, there's the train. Is that catching on camera? Yeah, it's catching on camera. And you can see there's a battery box right here. You'll need two AA batteries to get this working, but don't worry. I planned ahead and they're already here. So we can actually get this train layout up and running immediately. Let's put that packaging off to the side. It just, the packaging just fell on the floor. I don't know if that picked up on the microphone. I don't really care too much. Oh, so you bend this around backwards like this. How do you do this? Well, you can already see. I should probably actually set it up for the camera and look at what you guys see rather than what I see here. The layout is ready to run. Seriously, all we need to do is get that train off the bottom here, and we're good to go. And I guess, hold on, while we have this thing upside down, let's also get some AA batteries in there, which I said I was prepared. I am. Now, let's see, how does this back work? Looks like there's some little locks here that you have to put in place. But you bend this over, put it down. Oh, I think you need to squish this. This is, I think that works. I hope that works. I am going to be upset if that happens. Is there anything in here that'll help? Well, you got yourself a little ruler with some advertisements for more of the Rokuhan Shorty line equipment. And it looks like there's an instruction sheet here. I can't read any of it. I'm so sorry. I do not read Japanese. I am a 100% United States of America kid. I don't even remember what I learned in Spanish class, other than like, ¿Dónde está el baño? So we got ourselves a little cardboard ruler and a little advertisement for how you can expand. And on this little sheet, again, that I cannot read, looks like it's instructions. I should hold it up for the camera rather than for myself. And I think we got a little sticker. That's what this looks like. A little Z-scale Shorty sticker. That's cute. Alright, well, give me a second as I try and figure out how to put this up and prop it up correctly. You know what, I'm just going to take it off the camera scene for a second. How does this flipping work? Is there some notch? Is there something that's going to apply pressure and hold it in place? Do I put it down here? I'm so confused, but I noticed something that's going to be kind of hard to put on camera here. If you look, there's perforation marks along here, and it looks like you can rip off this little segment of the backdrop, and that's where the tunnel is supposed to go in this sort of region. Working for the camera is so confusing to me, man. I'm not used to this. But I guess I get. I think I figured it out. I hope I figured it out. You put this in place. Yeah, you have to rip this out. Rip along the perforation marks. I don't want to damage the rest of the backdrop, so I'm trying to be careful. And it ends right around where my finger is. So it looks like we got that part. How do we get this part? There we go. Yeah, because it looks like there's a little bit that sticks out back here. And that's going to help hold the backdrop up. It means that it doesn't fall over in front of us like this. Also, something else I just noticed, aside from the battery coming off because the glue wasn't strong enough apparently. Hold on, let's put that back in place. Battery box just fell out. And it looks like there's a little slot here. And that's where we're supposed to put this. Maybe there's glue, maybe this is a sticker. I'm not smart enough for this. Well, let's just work on the perforation. There we go. That's more like it. Now then, can we get this last little bit off? Yes, we can. Now, get this tunnel, which is made out of plastic, by the way. Put this in place. This over that. Yeah, that feels pretty stable to me. Let's get this train in place then, eh? Get this small little rail car running. Now that the basics of our layout are assembled. If I can get this... Where's the tape? Why can't I get this tape off? No, seriously, where is it? Why is this invisible tape so frickin' invisible right now? Okay, there we go. Got it off. Getting this tiny little thing out. Hold on. I want to get a frame of reference for this. Is that on camera? Yes, it is. There's a 6-sided die. It's literally like 2-3 of these things long. And this little train is tiny. I want to measure this, and I've got some measuring tape on hand, so let's go ahead, stretch it out a little bit. I don't think we need like 9 inches or however much I got there. This thing from end to end, is that picking up on camera? It's not even 2 inches long. This thing's tiny. Oh my god. One interesting thing I wanted to point out about this is this little building that's on the side of the box. Apparently you're supposed to actually cut that out and use it as a Papercraft building. And the same thing goes for these cows that are on the inside rim or inside of the lid, and these cows here, and these 2 tunnel portals here, which is kind of clever. Also going to be a bit annoying to have to cut these out one by one. Oh, there's also... I just noticed this. There's also crossing gates. One of the little flaps. Is there anything on the other side? No. How about on this side of the whole spiel? There's more crossing gates, but that's about it. And seemingly an advertisement for Rokuhan. So they've really used up every inch of what they can. Even the packaging is used to make this model railroad. And I think that's kind of clever. Even if it's going to be annoying for me. But now I think it's time for us to do the thing we all really wanted to see. This little guy running. So let's put him on the tracks. Or at least attempt to. I have never, ever touched a Z-gauge in my life. Now then, if all is well... All is not well. Is this thing... I mean, we've got to run it for a few minutes, you know, to get it running correctly. Come on now, you can do it, little guy. Because these motors are tiny. So you're going to have to spend a few minutes breaking them in, making sure they're working fine. We're off to a great start here. Oh, we actually are off to a decent start here. Now it's starting to move. Now this thing's wanting to cooperate. It's so lightweight, though, that I'm not sure it's really staying on the tracks. Well, this is one way to start off this sort of episode. Alright, now let's take a look. Everything looks fine to me. This thing is so lightweight, though. Like, I'm impressed this thing even runs to begin with, but I guess we gotta break it in for a little bit. So I'm gonna spend some time trying to get it to run, and I will report back once I have. It's working. This is like the third or fourth attempt to get this to work. And now it's working good. And that is, again, because these motors need to be running a little bit. They need to get going. They're so small, dude. Legitimately, again, the train is less than 2 inches long. It's kind of crazy. And yet, here we are, like 30 minutes into this unboxing, or not even, hold on, how long have I been recording right now? For this specific segment, where I first put the train on the tracks, and tried to get it to start running, we're 6 minutes in. And now it's working fine. So, it takes a moment to get rolling, but, well, now it's rolling. Let's try flipping the direction. This is so cool. I'm gonna need to get my father down here into the basement once he's done. He's currently in a meeting. I need to get him downstairs so that he can see this for himself. You know, at the train shows we go to, we often try and bring small things like this. And this micro model railroad is a new addition to our collection. I have such a big smile across my face, and I don't want to put my face on camera right now because I look kind of hideous. I woke up on the wrong side of bed this morning, but I'm so happy. I think it derailed. I think that derailed. I'm gonna check real quick. Oh, no, it's working. I stand corrected. It's no longer working. I stand corrected. Oh, you can do this. You can do this, little guy. Well, okay. We are, what, 7.5 minutes into this recording? I think we're going to need to break in this engine a little more, and we're going to need to make this layout look a little bit better. And we're going to do that off camera. We're going to go ahead and glue together the buildings, cut them out, and then we'll be back and we'll show off what the finished product looks like. Yeah! No! Yeah! Why am I having so much fun? Okay, let's re-rail this guy. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, you want to re-railing this is really hard because they didn't include a re-rail tool. I don't know why. They really should have. They're like $2. You can pick them up pretty cheap. But I recommend putting them on the track on this straight piece back here. Because if you're trying to put it on a curve, it's just more of a headache, you know? Yeah! And you probably want nimble fingers for that. But even someone like myself, I can agree you probably want to get the re-railing tool if you can find it. Alright, so we're back, and I've assembled some of the Papercraft. Not all of it, however. For an entry-level product, you'd think that the scenery would be easier to construct. But if you look at how horrible of a job I've done on this little building here, I mean, look at that crooked roof right there. I thought this was going to be a walk in the park, but the fact that this whole Papercraft stuff is made out of the cardboard box itself, it's very stiff and it's very hard to manipulate. Alongside that, you have to make a bunch of precise movements on a very small shape in order to make it work. I mean, you see that curve on the tunnel portal here? I had to cut that out with an X-Acto knife. And I know that's not necessarily the most uncommon thing, but it was still very difficult and tricky to do. Kind of tedious, too, and I didn't want to do it for crossing gates and cows, because those things are so small, they're fragile, and it's just a nightmare to do. On top of that, we also had to glue these things together, and you've already seen the results of that house and how horrible this abomination of God is. But the tunnel portals I had to hold in place using clamps. I have some here. And that was to glue them on, and you know, I'm not really sure the average consumer is just going to have these kinds of clamps on hand. And also, the box. Remember how I mentioned that the box was a little bit ripped earlier on? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I honestly don't remember at this point. It's been like 3 hours. I've been struggling with this house for so long. Well, the box had a rip on it. And that rip was really close to one of the tunnel portals. And if that had been any closer, I think the tunnel portal wouldn't have been usable, or it would have been like no, it wouldn't have been usable. It just wouldn't have been. There's no other buts about it. So, if I have one complaint about this set, absolutely the Papercraft. It shouldn't be that hard to do. This is supposed to be an entry-level product. It's supposed to be $90. $90 and you get your whole layout that's easy to make. And it really hasn't been easy to make. So, what's my verdict on this? Well, I think it changes based on the context. If you're looking at this and thinking, this is a great way for me to get into the hobby, I don't think that's true. While it is true that you're going to learn a lot from doing all this gluing and Papercraft stuff, overall, I think it's way too tedious for what it's worth, and B, there's just so many other problems with this layout when it comes down to making this into a long-term hobby. For instance, this is supposed to be a stand-alone layout. It's supposed to just be its own thing. You're not really going to be able to expand it reasonably well. On top of that, this is Z-gauge, and Z-gauge is an uncommon gauge. On top of that, it is specifically Rokuhan shorting line, where they take the prototypes and shrink them down so that they can handle these really sharp curves. Which means that Z-gauge is already niche. Rokuhan shorting line is a niche of Z-gauge, so it's a niche of the niche. Trying to expand upon this is going to be insanely difficult, especially for a new modeler. And personally, I don't think it's worth the time, especially with just how tiny these things are. However, I believe this is a perfect novelty. If you're looking to get this, maybe as a little display piece, I don't know, a paperweight, a conversation starter, this is perfect for that. Its price is unbeatable. There's nothing else like it. I mean, for heaven's sake, hold on. let me compare it to, say, this little thing right here. This is a Broadway Limited Heavy Mikado Paragon 3. Cost me $284 on sale. Meanwhile, this train layout that we've been talking about cost me only, what, $90? And I got an entire train layout that's ready to run right out of the box without me having to do much of anything other than put in some batteries and put the train on the tracks. There's literally nothing like that, except for maybe, technically this is the tunnel version of their micro layout. There is the regular old boring oval, which is slightly cheaper and I guess is something like it, but still, you get my point. Where do we go from here? The price is amazing. The ease of setting this up is amazing. The scenery, well, okay. Maybe not so much. But overall, for $90, I mean, for heaven's sake, looking at Z-Track Center's price, the individual parts are $80. And that's just me, like, estimating based off of how much the train costs and how much the track costs. I'm not counting the fact that you would have to assemble this. You'd have to put together the tracks. You'd have to put together your little layout and wire it up. You'd have to put together your scenery. I mean, obviously you have to do that here, so bad comparison. You'd have to put together your train, too, because that train that's running around the layout right now, that little guy, he doesn't come assembled normally, but in this he does. See, usually the paint and the shell is separate from the motor, and you have to put that on. And on top of that, I have not found this paint job on anything other than this starter set. Not at all. And I mean, I haven't looked too much, admittedly. My research, the extent of my research is like, look at eBay listings and like the one site Z-Track Center, and that's it. But that's an exclusive print that is pre-assembled. It's just, it's just mind-blowing, honestly. I don't know what else to say. The value you get out of this is sweet. It's great. It's amazing. And if you just want a little train that'll run in circles, I honestly think this is better than the cheaper $60 to $70 set. Because, I mean, you have this little track variation here. You have this tiny little S-bend, and you've got the tunnel that it has to go through. I think this is an amazing set, and if you're just looking for the novelty of running trains in circles, whether as a long-time hobbyist who wants a small display piece, or somebody who really is never going to get into the hobby but at least wants to have a train in their house, this, well, okay, this layout, not this steam train, this is perfect. If you want to get this layout for yourself, I'd recommend checking your local shops first. It's likely they don't have it, but it's always good to support your local businesses. If they don't have it, though, I would recommend Z-Track Center for an online retailer. I've ordered stuff from them before. I trust them. Just be warned, their shipping costs seem to be around $13, so factor that into your price before you purchase. You might be able to find this for cheaper on eBay, but I can't really vouch for the reputation of those sellers, and Z-Track Center will probably ship faster to the United States than most of them. If you like this content and want to see more like it, I've got a Ko-Fi for donations. I kind of really need them if I want to do projects like this, since they're not cheap. And the next one I plan to do is a custom model railroad that's even smaller than the one I showed in this video. There's a donation goal on Ko-Fi, so if you liked this, go check it out. Likes and subscriptions help boost the channel, and comments can give me some much-needed constructive criticisms. After all, this is the first video I'm doing like this. I don't know if I did it right, I don't know if I did it horribly. But whatever you do, though, have a good day, and thanks for watching. Cheers, folks.